Hello and welcome to the North Bank Podcast. I'm your host, Holly, and I'm joined by Stef and Chris. Long time no see, gentlemen. How are we?
Well, we did meet, didn't we, on Sunday?
Oh, we did.
And I think, this is like, we're allowed to say this, aren't we? We're all adults here. That we were sat outside that cafe.
I'm a little bit concerned about what you're going to say now.
The guy who came up to us.
Yes.
Yeah, you're in London when someone comes up to your table and starts saying things to you.
Tell us about him, Steph.
I'm all right, thanks. I don't really want to relive it. It was quite traumatic, but yeah.
You were in the firing line, so to speak, weren't you?
I was in the firing line.
Suffice to say, he was topless. That's how it begins.
Yeah, he was topless, and there may have been some kind of disco cigarette in his hand. Let's just say that.
And he was offering services.
He was.
Yep.
You can't, Chris. You've introduced this now. You can't we're the only three people in the world who know what you're talking about.
Well, it basically put his briefcase on the desk, didn't he? It was some kind of case, as if he was a businessman,
traveling salesperson,
businessman,
with these quite enormous man boobs, and just proceeded to ask us if we had Bluetooth penises.
It was one of the more surreal. Thank you, Holloway Road, for that, though. That was
good old Holloway Road.
That was impressive delivery.
It's like the old days.
But we haven't been not doing anything. Steph, you've done a couple of interviews, cracking interviews in our North Bank Meets series. Alfie Dundas and Jacob Hawley. We've got 5 or 6 lined up over the next few weeks, so do look out for those, where we chat in depth to an Arsenal-connected person about their connection to Arsenal and where it all began. We also get their kind of views on the current state of play, and we do a kind of a would you rather Emirates or Highbury kind of quick fire quiz at them as well. It's good fun and it passes the time. Please do look out for those. There's plenty exciting interviews to come. Right, so we haven't met for a couple of weeks as a three, talking about the Arsenal world. So let's do what Steph loves to do, and let's dive deep into the gossip cesspit.
Right, gotta go, guys. Sorry, I'm losing you there. I'm going for a tunnel.
The transfer, I don't know, give me an alliterative to transfer.
Tittle-tattle.
Right, tittle-tattle. So look, we're what? I think the 16th of June, the transfer window opened properly. It's the 25th of June now. So that's like 11 days into the transfer window. And the Arsenal fan base online has been into various phases of meltdown, stages of meltdown. But yeah, we've got Zubimendi in the door. We've got Kepa in the door. Yes, Steph is shaking his head rather. We have got them in the door. We've who else? Well, today, the latest, we've got Kepa and Norgaard in the door. Thomas Partey is leaving. So that's 4 things done. We've got Lewis Skelly extended. We've got Gabriel extended. The mood music for Saka is all very positive, as it is for Saliba. I think we've been doing pretty well so far, 11 days into the transfer window. All sorts of rumours. I think what clouds everybody's judgment is the saga, as it has to be called now, will it be Sesko or Gyökeres debate, and it will pontificate for so long that Liverpool will jump in and get Gyökeres and Chelsea will jump in and get Sesko, and we'll be left with, Ollie Watkins probably, but it is what it is. So what's your kind of take, Steph? Because I know you love it.
Yeah, I'm too old to get so wound up about everything.
Hang on a minute. Hang on.
You're too old.
We can't let that slide. You're the youngest. You're the baby here.
Okay, but there was a time when I would be questioning and getting slightly irate at our lack of business and all that kind of stuff as well.
But do you think there's a lack of business? That's my point.
Well, no, not particularly. And someone said it the other day where Havertz is one of the earliest signings we've made in recent times, certainly maybe under Arteta.
I said it.
Oh,
24th.
You said it. Okay, you told me.
24th of June.
Something like that, wasn't it? Yeah, exactly. Yep. Early 20th of June. So it is what it is.
That was yesterday.
Unless, I suppose what's strange is that everything to do with Sesko has been going on so long, people feel like, well, surely a lot of the prep that you think might protract a transfer saga would be in place. So why aren't you just making it happen? But
can I offer a possible reason as to why it's not happened yet? I've heard my sources, HP and so on, that he's insisting on a release clause.
Okay.
A release clause of 20% higher than whatever fee we agree with Leipzig. And if that's the case, then that's a no for me. I don't want somebody coming in who's already got an eye on their exit. And I maybe this is Arsenal-coloured spectacles, and I don't view us now as a stepping stone club.
Can I just jump in here and ask you, do you think that's his agent or him?
Well, if it's his agent, he needs to have a word, because his agent works for him. So, his agent won't be presenting anything that he hasn't cleared with Sesko first. If Sesko wants to come, look, I kind of refer to a tweet that Clive from Arsenal Vision put out a couple of days ago. He said he was having a conversation with his son about Sesko or Gyökeres, and he said to his son, he said, I'm leaning towards Sesko, and his son simply said, Dad, I want the player who wants us. And I thought it was really, really good, and that's changed because we were pretty much not like 100%, but we were pretty much leaning towards as a group, us three, towards Sesko with a potential higher ceiling, perhaps. But then I thought, well, Gyökeres has made it quite clear he wants to come to us. That's enough. People are reporting that for that to be true. And if Sesko is not coming at the moment because he wants a release clause in, who's going to be the more motivated striker? This is where the age factor works in Gyökeres' favour, because this is his big move. This is his destination club. Whereas Sesko may be viewing this as a stepping stone to Barca or Madrid or Bayern or I don't know who. One would assume he could go to, so Harry Kane's there. So where are you on the Sesko Gyökeres divide?
I can totally understand why that would act like something of a red flag. Sure, absolutely. I think all of those points are true. Want the player that wants to be there. I don't necessarily see it as a stepping stone club anymore. Team that is looking fairly solid to stay in the Champions League, be competing for titles. Sure, yeah, absolutely. I worry that is just the nature of football now and deals, that you'll try and squeeze everything out about it. But
okay, well, do a release clause of 150 million then. Back yourself that much. Not 20% above the agreed fee. I mean, I don't know if that's true. Chris, what about you?
Yeah, well, like I said earlier, I wouldn't have thought Sesko, 21-year-old, whatever he is, 22 now, is sitting there and the first thing he's thinking is about his release clause. I think this is coming from the agent personally. And I think it's one of those things that maybe because they're having a bit of they had a gentleman's agreement that has been sort of slightly reneged on, similar to Gyökeres, haven't they? That whereby Leipzig have kind of bumped up the fee. They're probably trying to insulate themselves from that happening again. So but for me, yes, you want someone who comes wanting to play for you, but they've got to be the right fit as well. It's no good just getting someone who I could go and say I want to play for the Arsenal because I want to play for them. It's like that sort of
no disrespect, Chris.
It's those days are gone. I know
you're not. You may have just had your five-a-side tonight. I heard something interesting about Gyökeres, and he's quite vocal in terms of like going on strike. Apparently, he's in person told the director that I'm not playing for you again. because apparently the agreement was, I know, that's a bit of a red flag, unless it's wanting to come to us, that is. But anyway, I heard that he had an agreement with Sporting that he was going to find a suitor. They'd agreed the price, like this sort of verbal. They'd agreed the price, and then he was going to find the club and bring the club to Sporting with an agreed fee, a pre-agreed fee. If Sporting didn't accept that, they would then have to pay a £6 million penalty to Gyökeres and his agent for reneging on that agreement. And that's what he's done. And that's why the delay for him is because Sporting have reneged on that from Gyökeres' perspective. And the delay with Sesko is because all of a sudden personal terms had been agreed, and now they're playing silly beggars by insisting on this release clause. So it's smoke and mirrors. Arsenal could come out with £130 million bid for Isak tomorrow, and the other two were just smoke and mirrors, as you've said earlier. We don't really know what's going on. People leak information which is true, which has got elements of truth to it, but they've got an agenda. They want to, cause a bit of upset or force someone's arm or something like that. But I say it's dragging on. We're in day 11 of the transfer window.
And also, a lot of these are being pushed into July for PPR reasons, aren't they? So it's another reason. This is the silly season where content, is thin on the ground. People are scraping around looking for any morsel to turn into something, and we're all suckers. We're just waiting for any morsels, aren't we?
So
I was just going to say, I've also heard a lot of people on the podcast and on radio talking about that maybe the way Berta is operating is that he's quite happy to keep several irons in the fire burning. It could have a positive effect in meaning that other clubs blink and maybe accept a slightly better offer for us, sort of monetarily. And also goes against what we've normally seen, perhaps more recently, where it seems like we have one fixed target and we spend so much time and effort chasing that one fixed target that it does become too late in the day to then pivot to a plan B. Well, I assume that they'll have their warning signs or their checkpoints that mean they go, right, no, that's not moving, that's not happening, so we'll pivot to this other one. And like you say, there's even still the faint sort of embers of a chance of Ollie Watkins keeps being mentioned, possibly as well, which I'm not overly 100% dead against. But
no, especially if we get a
Rodrigo
on the left,
a more elevating, winger, absolutely.
And I would take that. I would accept a compromise on the number 9. And again, it's a compromise on a number 9, but I think in that team, Ollie Watkins guarantees you 20 goals.
And there's no red flags from Ollie Watkins, is there?
Nope.
He's a good lad. He's an Arsenal
We are
fan.
his destination club in every sense of the word.
That's all in his favour. Yeah, his age is what it is, but he'd be bought for the here and now. So that idea, that I heard on in the ether about Berta maybe operating in that way can be read as a good thing. Some people probably see it as dithing and a bit risky, like you say.
Risky.
Other clubs are circling, possibly. Other clubs who might be more decisive. Someone also said that we also don't know how much Berta's got to work with. So a lot of this might be trying to negotiate down because he knows what our limitations are. He knows that there are other areas where we need to strengthen or reinforce. That's what some of the other deals you mentioned are like. So Kepa, 5 million, everyone's looking like that's, a tidy bit of business for your backup keeper. Norgaard, a player coming in, similar profile, perhaps not at the levels of Partey, but, perhaps a lot cheaper.
Well, I don't know. Can we pause on Norgaard? Chris, you said like replacing a 32-year-old with a 31-year-old. But Partey was a starter for us last season. And he was on 200 grand. He's like the 5th highest earner at the club. And he was asking for more money. Norgaard is the hopefully the Brentford captain last season. He played 34 games. He scored 5 goals, 4 assists. Now, Brentford maybe bypass midfield a little bit more than we will bypass midfield. So there's that style issue. But Thomas Frank is on record as saying that Norgaard is everything you want from a player. Club captain, treats everybody with respect, but he talks to everybody. And he's definitely a squad filler. So, I mean, he's a replacement for Jorginho, and Zubimendi's a replacement for Partey. There's nothing about, I mean, he's robust, he's physical, he's like 6 foot plus, he's good on set pieces, as in scoring set pieces. He's not a starter, and we're getting him for less than £10 million. He won't be on anything like close to £200,000. He'll be on half that if he is. I just think it's a great bit of business. But interesting, the Evening Standard yesterday ran a story that Spurs were after, because they need a number 6, and because of Thomas Frank, and that Brentford quoted Spurs £45 million for Norgaard. And 24 hours. So Evening Standard printed that yesterday. That was printed yesterday, and 24 hours later, he's coming to us for 9.6 million.
Is he though? I heard we made a bid, but I didn't.
That's got a here we go from. Well, pretty much from Ornstein and from Romano. Brentford have allowed him to travel to Arsenal for a medical. You know, that's all. Yeah. That's boys. You're not up to date.
No, I'm not up to date particularly because I've got.
I've been playing five-a-side, for God's sake.
Yeah, been farming, feeding baby goats and dealing with that. My thinking is, if the Evening Standard is printing one day 40 million or whatever it was for Spurs, I don't even know how we go in with around 10 million the next day, and that looks more affirmative.
Well, we've got a very good relationship with Brentford. Don't forget, we had the David Raya the David Raya situation,
Fine. Which was good. A massive gap.
Also, the players want. If the player wants to come, that's kind of devalues him.
And that was mentioned actually. He has made it very clear to Brentford that this is what he wants.
He doesn't want Spurs.
He doesn't want Spurs.
Both teams are in the Champions League.
But one of them is Spurs.
Sorry.
So even Sami Mokbel from the BBC is saying, Arsenal agree deal with Brentford to sign Norgaard. He's set to undergo medical.
Wow.
To accelerate. It was a Danish reporter broke the story yesterday evening, and then it was picked up by Hand of Arsenal this morning, and he's kind of between him and it's the fee value could rise to 13.5 million euros, so 11.5. But at the moment it's 9.5, and I think that's brilliant. I think that's
there's Jorginho-esque business.
Yeah, absolutely. And Norgaard will become our most experienced or oldest player. Yeah. And in number 6, you want somebody with a bit more maturity in that position as well. It's not. So we've been linked with the Sevilla player Goumet, French international. He's playing for the under-21s in the under-21 tournament at the moment. And I've read this evening that still remains. Our interest is solid in him still, but he would cost like 20 million plus, and he's 22, 23, so he's not
a now player.
He's not now, but we are still interested in him. So, and other players that we've been linked with is the Dutch Ajax player Jorel Hatto, and that, but he's going to cost a lot of money. He won't be cheap. But he is good, and I don't know how much we need him at the moment, but I'd sacrifice him if it meant spending an extra 20, 30 million on the 2 attacking positions that we need. Go on, Steph.
Well, I was just going to say, Lokonga was on loan at Sevilla, so you wonder if some kind of deal could be struck there, because Lokonga is still an Arsenal player.
That's true.
So maybe that could make weight. Even if you took a Goumet, is it a Goumet?
Yeah.
Took him now, but maybe loaned him back for a year and allowed him to develop it more. I was just about to say maybe Hato, I don't know what the pronunciation is. If he might be a little bit further on in his development, but he could be another player you potentially buy now, because he's on everyone's radar.
Yeah.
But again, loan him back to Ajax for a year. You've got a year then to suss out Calafiori and his injury record. Perhaps come to a conclusion with the likes of Tomiyasu, Zinchenko. And if there's a real need at the end of the season, maybe get him back. I don't know even if that.
Yeah, the worry
possible.
with that is
Money.
Yeah, is diverting money away from the left wing and the striker positions to a position that we don't need cover. I mean, it's future-proofing that position, and that's important. But once you hear Liverpool are interested in Hato, you got to think that's game over, because he'll be the heir apparent to Van Dijk. It's, Van Dijk's got another season in him, and then you've got to think the legs might start going.
3. You signed was it 3 or 4 year deal?
You just think, he is a player that can play without pace because his reading of the game is so astute.
That's just to protect his value. Someone will come in next year from Saudi or whatever and pay 120 or something stupid.
We keep getting linked with Kudus as well, who's just changed his agents, which is usually a precursor to a move, agitating for a move away. I'm not convinced. I've got like Doku feelings with him. Inconsistency can be really good. Flatters to deceive a little bit. Not sure he's better than what we've got. That's the Kudus. Who else have we been linked with? I keep seeing YouTube clips of Leao. I don't know how to pronounce it. Rafael Leao from AC Milan.
Yeah.
He's rapid now. The really exciting news, though, and this is serious, so you'll forgive me for my growing excitement, is that he was pictured today wearing a Thierry Henry T-shirt. Come on, that you hit. I come up with all the goods. Yeah. Thierry Henry T-shirt.
Rafael Leao is a wonderful footballer with the ball at his feet. He is not a Mikel Arteta player. He's not a high press. He's not a modern player in the sense of what he does without the ball. So I don't see it.
He looks good on the highlights reels.
I reckon you could probably
do I.
You could edit Chris's five-a-side this evening.
No disrespect, Chris. I'm saying this quite often this evening. Yeah. Oh, hang on. Who were we talking about?
Leao.
No, there was. The latest development in the Gyökeres or Sesko thing.
No. I know what you're going to say. Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
Is that Sesko has started following
Gyökeres.
No, Sesko.
Was it? No, I thought it was Gyökeres.
Sesko started following Arsenal on Instagram.
Oh,
this evening.
God. I thought you were going to talk...
the dog thing.
Yeah.
No, what?
Right, so Rory Talks on TikTok was talking about this the other day. His whole sort of transfer update was the fact that Gyökeres was following this premium dog service website or company
from North London.
I don't know if it's North London, but anyway. But is also followed by Ben White and another player. Was it Timber? I want to say Timber.
Havertz likes
Raya. David Raya. Raya. That was it. You're absolutely right. So that obviously in the world of ITKs online was like, well, there you go.
I
He's
love
coming.
that.
He shares dog grooming with Ben White and David Raya. Wow.
You've just reminded me of a skit that Laura Kirk Francis did with World War III in the offing. She's like, which football team's fans should be conscripted first? She said it was very funny, and she's coming on to do a chat with us at some point, which is good. Go on.
Can I guess? I haven't seen.
Go on. Which?
Just personal opinion, Chelsea fans.
No, they were third, I think.
Okay.
I can't. I haven't. I watched it. I've saved it. But number one was Spurs fans because they're now champions of Europe. So why not? Number two were Arsenal fans. Now the reason she said Arsenal fans, you just reminded me there. It's the sleuthing. It's the sleuthing nature of the Arsenal fan. Like we'd find anybody anywhere under a rock in like deepest, darkest Uzbekistan if we needed to. So I can't remember after that. Chelsea. It was Arsenal second, Spurs first, Arsenal second. So
very good.
I think Liverpool fan. Her reason for Liverpool fans was really funny, but. Potentially triggering for Liverpool fans. I must have a look at it again, but it was funny. Sorry, what were you saying?
I was just going to say, Liverpool won't fight on our behalf because Liverpool is a sovereign nation all by itself, isn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't that. I can't remember what it was. She said, but go find it. Laura Kirk Francis. It was funny. It was funny. Were you saying something important, Steph? And I just jumped in.
Never say anything important.
Chris, was it you?
Nah.
Were you talking about your five-a-sides prowess?
Yeah, no.
Did you score?
I saved that. I scored two. Scored two crackers. Yeah.
Sign him up. Berta's on the phone.
I'm telling you. Left foot.
Okay, I've had enough of that's the transfer dealings. I think the transfer window's going pretty well. Oh, the last thing I want to say about Kepa and Norgaard and so on. These are the signings that we to get them out of the way now is brilliant, because the consequence of not doing it now is that we end up signing Neto in a panic on transfer deadline day and completely hamstringing us later on in the season in terms of not being able to get another Premier League player on loan. So the same fan base, the same elements of the fan base who were complaining about our deadline day kind of desperation last season are complaining about getting our business done, like the squad, the filler business, the squad building business done now. They're just as important.
I was just going to reference, sorry to bring back the trauma, but Sir Alex Ferguson, he talked about throughout his career about every squad needs a Darren Ferguson.
Yeah.
Not Darren Ferguson.
Park.
Thingy Fletcher.
Darren Fletcher.
Every squad needs a Wes Brown, a John O'Shea. You know, you've got to have those players that are your floor players who are really good and there when you need it. Last year, Neto was useless, cup tied. What a waste of time. Sterling, okay, yeah, we were all kind of optimistic at the start. Turned out to be absolutely useless. Looking at Kepa and Norgaard, not that they're completely finished, but yeah, having that worry taken away for those, because actually those deals should be easier to make. They're at lower fees. They're players who, with all due respect, know what they're going to fulfill in terms of the squad. The elite players, there's huge negotiations to make there. How much are your wages? How much you're going to play? Who's going to feel like they're the main man and all those sorts of things? That's going to take time when we're talking about Sesco, Gyökeres, you know, the potential of a Rodrigo or whatever. Those will come later naturally because they're your star signings, as it were. So yeah, I'm with you. They're not maybe as important, but they are important.
Go on, Chris.
I was just going to ask you guys what you think of Partey leaving.
Fine.
You're all right with it?
Yeah, I could see, like, it's clear as the light of day. He signed his contract, big wages, and he'll be injured most of the season.
Right. I mean, I kind of agree in that I don't think we see a better season from him from here on in. I think the injury, you know, last year we got the best out of him, I think, in terms of being injury free. I don't see that happening again. And form as well. I just feel like he's at that junction where we're kind of hedging our bets a bit, and I think it's the best time,
and,
you know.
Yeah,
to let him go.
You know, we're replacing him in the squad with a Norgaard who won't be coasting. He'll have a point to prove. He'll be fired up. You know, he might not get all the starts and all the minutes, but I tell you, when he does come on and when he is there, he'll let people know. So no, I have no issue. Steph?
No. I was going to say exactly what you said, Chris, in the sense that would we be likely to get a season out of him like last season? And bear in mind the what was it, 3 years before?
We didn't.
We really didn't. And this was a player, it almost became a joke, didn't it? Literally, ever present for Atletico, never missed a game, signs for Arsenal, bang, he's got, you know, celery, hamstrings and all that kind of stuff. So it's just, last season, he was very, very good. And our good friend Tabs at the Grove podcast, I listened into his episode over the last couple of days. I think it was him who said, actually, after the yellow card against Real Madrid, you know what?
Yeah, fuck him.
It's hard to win back. And I must admit, that really annoyed me when I think about how that PSG game went, first game. Yeah.
It does raise a really important question, though, and I don't have the answer to this. Maybe you two can help me out. Who plays at right back?
Tomiyasu.
Who?
Love it.
Tomiyasu who?
Oh, bless him.
Yeah, I feel bad even laughing at that joke, Steph. That's
Sorry.
Okay. Right, let's move on to the fixture list. Has come out since we last met, and our opening 6 fixtures. Let me just refresh your memories. United away, yay! I mean, at least I get it out of the way really early. Like I don't have to dread it for months and weeks and so on.
It's
United away, Leeds. Go
on Man United, first game of the season. It's very rare for the Premier League to have traditionally 2 big teams face each other, which shows you how far they've fallen.
Good point. Good point.
You're saying that this isn't 2 big teams meeting each other. It's just one.
Yes,
away
although
at a minnow.
I say that so tongue-in-cheek because our record there is so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, United away, Leeds at home, Liverpool away. Then it's City and Forest at home and Newcastle away.
That's the bit.
So that's 6 games, 18 points. Chris, I'm going to steer this one to you because there's not much point gauging Steph's response to this. Give me a
Positive.
Yeah, well, give me a points total or points tally out of 18 that you would be disappointed with, content with, really, really happy with. So 3 layer.
Okay, well, some quick maths. I think, well, just to simplify it, I think I'd be happy with draws in the big games. Like you, Steph, I don't regard United as a big game, so that's a win as far as I'm concerned. Leeds is a win, and I'm happy with
a draw at Liverpool.
A draw.
Forest at home is next.
Is a win. City at home, I'm happy with the draw, and Newcastle away, I'm happy with the draw. So that's my kind of.
Okay. That's your status quo. That's your par.
That's where I'm kind of happy and say, look, we've got those games out of the way. They haven't taken 2 extra points off of us. You know that thing of where you draw. You know, I don't like draws, as you know, but if we're going to draw against those that you're in competition with, so
you
that
take points off them. Yeah,
right, exactly. And can I just add to that as another kind of positive? I feel that going into the season with such a block of hard games, we should look at it as the positive is that we're going to have hopefully a fully fit squad to face them for each of those games, which we didn't have last season.
And we have to hit the ground running. Simple as that.
So with a fully fit squad, let's just go for it.
A rested squad as well.
Yep. So that's my positive spin.
So 12 points from 18.
Mm-hmm.
Steph.
Look, in terms of happiness and what you call par,
It doesn't exist.
I'm actually with Chris in the sense that home games should be winning. So Forest, Leeds, City draw, fine. We're still giving them that respect. Absolutely, a draw against City,
2 points less than last season.
Exactly, not to be sniffed at all. Liverpool away, our record is so shocking there. And they will
we got so close to a win, though, didn't we?
I know, and they'll be so bang up for it. And Newcastle's become such a bogey team for us. So, yeah, a draw, fine. And if you can get more,
are you doing a draw? Are you doing a draw at Liverpool?
Yeah.
What about United?
Par, exactly the same as what Chris said.
So, do you think we'll beat United then?
I would like to think so. Yes.
Okay.
Ask me that a couple of days before.
Well, no, I realised that.
Well, also, here's the other thing. Because the fixture list comes out so late, I mean, every year at the farm, we invite a load of old friends over, bring their kids, and they all camp out. And we've put it in for that weekend. We just put it in because that was when everyone could do it. And I said, well, yeah, season starting, whatever. So I was thinking, okay, don't give me something. Everton away, brand new ground. I really wanted to do that. If that had been opening game, I'd have been absolutely gutted. And also probably getting divorced. But
because you're going to the game,
I couldn't possibly comment. However, when we got United away, I was like, fine, happy to dodge that, no problem. Just stress, terrible history going there. So do you know what? Because I'm not going, you can all thank me later because we'll probably win now, and it'll be the one time I don't blooming go. So yeah, probably.
I'll be in Ireland watching that game, and Ireland's full of United fans.
Yes, it is. Well, most of my friends who are coming back over because I grew up in the 90s here in the middle of nowhere, and everyone picked bloody Man United, didn't they? So, yeah, fine. What I was going to talk about, a lot of people have been talking about the fixtures, and the problem is it's literally one thing or the other, isn't it? You know, you could fall down on the side of a few easy games, get into the season, get your rhythm, build up that momentum, or start big, go big, and then you go from there. You take confidence from those big wins early doors. Now, we've got to do that. We've got to be forced into do that. So there's no resting on your laurels. There's no kind of soft start more than anything. The players have got to go in with that mentality. And we're hoping, we spoke about this, I know, the board have got to look at this transfer window now and go, right, we've got to get our house in order as well.
Okay, on that, because that's the negative for me. If we were to end up with someone like Rodrigo, I think it's a deal that will be done towards the end of the transfer window.
Which is Liverpool away just after that.
Yeah, on the day. So if it was a transfer deadline day deal, he wouldn't be registered in time for the Liverpool game. And I'll be so gutted if Liverpool have got all their signings in, which they have done. Maybe there's a striker to come. If they get rid of Núñez or Diaz, they'll get a striker. And so they'll have them well bedded in as well. And so they're meeting us full strength, rested as well, not involved in the Club World Cup. And we're, you know, maybe we've dropped points at Old Trafford. Maybe we're already playing catch up. We've beaten Leeds maybe, but we've dropped points at Old Trafford. And then we go there and we know we've got the couple of big signings to come in, but they came in late. And that's what I don't like. I just want us to be, and it might not be within the board's remit to do that. It might be beyond their control at that point. What date is the United game? Is it the 17th or something?
Of
right.
August.
So that's still Sunday. 2 weeks. That's still 2 weeks before the deadline closes. So I'd love to be full strength for the United game. We don't know what state they're going to be in. It looks like Mbeumo's going to be following Cunha in the door. But beyond that, again, not quite sure where they're fitting in. Go on, Steph.
Well, I was going to say about the other teams as well. We look at that start and we go, oh, bloody hell, we've got to play Liverpool, got to play Forest, City, Newcastle, blah, blah. Hopefully they're looking at us and going, oh, God, we've got to play Arsenal as well. So, you know, we've got to take a little bit of heart from that. Also, even the clubs involved in the Club World Cup is a double-edged thing. Rumours are that City are kind of treating the competition a bit like a pre-season, bedding in those new players they knew they had to get in first before the Club World Cup to get them registered. So this could act as a bit of a bedding in period. So they could be quite fluent and up to speed. Similarly, they could be knackered.
Well,
it's energy-sapping heat over there at the minute.
It is, yeah. They're more likely to be knackered later into the season, aren't they?
Yeah, fingers crossed.
And Rodrigo's back. No, Rodri. Sorry. Got Rodrigo on my mind. Rodri's back and fresh after a year out. So, you know, it could be a bad time to beat them. I'll stick 12 points as a minimum down as well. Undefeated would be good, but it would be really nice to lay a couple of early blows on certainly Liverpool and City, because I can't see beyond us, Liverpool and City, for top three. Chelsea, I just don't know what Chelsea are going to look like. I don't know. I've no idea. I don't know half the players they've got, and they keep buying players, and I don't understand it. And then apparently they're one of the clubs with the least to worry about in terms of PSR. I don't know how that's happening. Well, go on.
Well, they sold their women's team to themselves for an overinflated
several hundred
price.
Million.
Also, as you mentioned Chelsea, there were also slight reports about Noni Madueke and Arsenal.
Yes.
Don't know how I feel about that.
But isn't he right side? So he's like Saka.
And is he going to want to play
Nwaneri.
Second fiddle? And like you say, Nwaneri's pathway. Don't know. It's a weird one.
Yeah, no, not for me. I don't want any Chelsea player.
Either.
I don't want any Chelsea player.
I don't want to give Chelsea any more money.
I don't want any of their players.
Apart from their keeper.
Havertz.
Their Kepa. Their Kepa.
Kepa. Oh, keeper Kepa. Very good.
Arf.
The Forest City Newcastle games will be interesting ones as well, because the Champions League will have started at that point as well.
And Forest are in Europe, aren't they?
Forest are in Europe, but it's the Conference League, or is it the Europa League? I can't remember. Conference League, I think. So they should be able to play something of a shadow squad, a bit like Chelsea did, I think.
But they might not. First game back in Europe,
you're
that
going
kind
to
of
go
thing.
big, aren't you? I mean, the City ground, if they're at home, that's going to be absolutely rocking. But yeah, City are going to want to take it seriously. They don't want to end up in the playoffs like they did last time. And Newcastle, again, are going to prioritise Champions League.
I forgot about Newcastle. Anthony Gordon's a player we keep getting linked with as well.
Why?
But much like Isak, that's a deal that's not going to happen.
So many people have said how much they like Gordon. Like, he's good, don't get me wrong.
I think he's a good
Newcastle
player, yeah.
are not selling.
No, that's it. I mean, absolutely. If we were picking him up from Everton, then fine, but we're not.
Or if they hadn't made the Champions League. Yeah, weird.
So 12 points minimum, unbeaten, 12 points. I'd be looking for 14 or 15.
Well, we can hope, but that's
of
the
course,
bottom line.
Of course. Watch us lose at United first game of the season. Like, give me 12 now. I'll take them.
Like me.
United away is a different beast for me, as we know. So I'm traumatised. I still suffer PTSD. So anyway, right. We put out a request for some questions as well to keep us going in this podcast, although we're already 40 odd minutes in, so we don't really need many questions. I have got some. This one doesn't come from anybody. I picked this one up from Arseblog, as it's turned out. It's one of their recent podcasts. And I asked you guys before we start recording, who is in our current squad, who would you consider as our most underrated player and why? Steph, you're nodding. You have a name.
Oh, Kai Havertz. And I think the reason why people underrate him is because people can't get their head around this idea of knowing exactly what he does. It's almost like we have to pigeonhole a player in that they are one thing. He is a very, very good footballer. But most importantly, he is a very, very good, versatile footballer. And I think he often gets underrated because he doesn't have a set position. He's essentially like a Swiss Army knife that can do a bit of everything rather than being that one precision tool that you might need in one area.
Do you think he's underrated by us?
No, probably not.
As in not us three, but
I think he certainly is by some Arsenal fans, massively. But by the squad, by Arteta and some Arsenal fans, absolutely not.
Chris?
I agree, Kai Havertz, definitely, but I always come back to Saka because I think whenever we talk about him and how unspectacular he is, but how ruthless and efficient he is, it's that because he's not the kind of jazz hands player, you forget how efficient he is and how much we miss him when we found out how much we missed him. So, yeah, I always come back to Saka.
Underrated by whom?
I think just a general, even amongst the Arsenal fan base, maybe not us sort of chin strokers who are a bit more kind of considered, but I think just generally it's because, like I said, because he doesn't have the kind of the step overs and he's not flash. He's just so efficient.
Interesting one.
I think he's underrated by the media and the press and by England fans.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's changing because they keep trying to compare him. Anytime you get a decent English winger come up, he's better. And every single comparison, look at Cole Palmer now, hasn't scored in about 9,250 games. It's like, he where's he gone? Just to wrap up this question, Arseblog identified Tomiyasu as his most underrated player, in a sense that he's almost out of sight, out of mind at the moment.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to judge.
But if you were to name your starting 11 against the biggest teams and you had Tomiyasu at right back or left back or even at centre back, you wouldn't worry.
Oh, no.
And I think that's quite, you talk about your Swiss Army knife, that's pretty unique. You've maybe got Timber there possibly.
Yeah, but then their injuries, makes it difficult for you to kind of include them in any kind of comparison, really, doesn't it? It's just, ideally, when he was playing, when he was fit, maybe he was underrated.
And go on.
No, I was just going to say also, there is a disease. I don't know if it's just Arsenal, but I definitely see it at Arsenal being in amongst it. Other clubs and fans might do it as well, in that the best player is always the one that's not in the team. or the best player is always the one that you could buy in. And so you kind of naturally undervalue the ones that are there with that whole familiarity breeds contempt thing. You know, I remember a big thing about Welbeck had been out for a while and then was on the bench, and everyone was going, come on, we need that guy Welbs and all this kind of thing. Everyone's banging on about, you know, the likes of Gyökeres and Sesko for unlocking it. And I think it's more, we need them because we need a more precise number 9, but, you know, for other players who have stepped up. And there was also a comparison. Now, I'm not saying, look, Rodrigo is a better player than Martinelli, but I think some people are undervaluing Martinelli because they're looking to overrate Rodrigo in a way, possibly. And I feel like that's a little bit unfair myself. Look, Rodrigo's a ceiling raiser. I'd love us to go get him, but, you know, we shouldn't necessarily undervalue some of the players.
I want to use that as a nice segue into my next question, but I just want to add in before I do that Gunnerblog identified David Raya as the most underrated player in the Arsenal squad, that he's won consecutive Golden Gloves. He's had a brilliant season. He's had to do more than we would have wanted him to do.
I think our whole defence is underrated.
Yeah, true.
Gabriel is.
But you're and that segue there. So the next question is: would you sell Martinelli to get Rodrigo?
Yes.
There's dead air here.
For me, it's yes.
You would?
Yeah.
Is Rodrigo that much of a markup on Martinelli, and are you just swapping one player for one player rather than adding? Right. So,
yeah. But the question doesn't imply that I can't then also have other backups. So if it means
Trossard,
right? But and another potentially. But my point is, I see Rodrigo as a better player than Martinelli. Therefore, I would be prepared to make that switch. If you're asking me, would I like them both? Yes, because I'd like a squad of 50 players, ideally, and I'd like 3 players for every position, but that's not going to happen. So it's that thing where, oh, yes, we should build a squad and we should keep so-and-so and we should keep him and we should keep him. Well, you can't keep them all happy.
Yeah, so, I'm not sure. Rodrigo's numbers aren't great. They weren't fantastic for Real Madrid last season.
On the right.
Played quite a few games. Okay, on the right, but same position. And against, and also think about it, like Real Madrid, you know, they didn't have the best season, but they still finished second, and they come up against far more teams they are going to beat with ease than Arsenal will in the Premier League, for example, and so they'll score. You know, games will be a lot more open, and his numbers aren't that much better than Martinelli's, if at all. But I don't know, Steph.
Yeah, my general feeling is that he's perhaps not so much obviously better than Martinelli that I immediately say yes, if it's a case of one has to go in order to get Rodrigo. That said, I am definitely on the side of, I don't know, everyone keeps talking, and I got a bit kind of narked about the way we're moving the midfield around, that it does seem to still be a bit one in, one out. That bench against PSG at home will haunt me. We need 3 or 4 in without losing anyone. And we're naturally going to lose people like Tierney's gone and Partey, etc. And there might even be Zinchenko possibly as another one. There's obviously the likes of Reece Nelson, Lokonga, etc. Fabio Vieira. It doesn't look like Porto are going to be able to buy him. But ultimately, that very good 11, maybe 12 players we've got needs to be 15, needs to be possibly 16. So let's add to it.
Oh, okay. Steph, you keep delivering me wonderful opportunities to segue into the next question.
I've got to be good for
this
something. Question's
come in from Arsfengers on BlueSky. And I'll read it verbatim. Has Arteta's lack of trust in squad contributed to value tanking and injuries? Now, I've banged on about this for quite a while. You guys, 2 seasons ago, 2 whole seasons ago, at the very start, we posed the question to ourselves, what are we looking for from Arteta this season? And my one was use of squad, rotate. Has he developed or improved on that? And so the question is, Has Arteta's lack of trust in squad contributed to value tanking injuries? He references Ramsdale worth 60 million before Raya turned up. Zinchenko possibly worth 10 million now. Tierney, Partey, Jorginho all going for zero. He says injuries we're aware of. He doesn't need to list the injuries. We're aware of those. Are we going to have the same injury season next season as we did this season? Or was this just a real outlier? Just really bad luck mixed with whatever? Overuse of players? I don't know. But all the injured players have now had a rest. They've had a break because forced, however. So what do you, Chris, what do you think?
There were definitely opportunities to rotate, and, we were hoping that we would see it more, and it didn't really happen. I referenced that thing of him saying that, our best players have got to be prepared to put in a shift for 60 odd games a season. And you're thinking, really? Is that the real line, or is he just trying to create this illusion of, invincibility? I think he's definitely culpable for certainly the injuries. I don't know about the tanking of values. We've done all right with sales like the Nketiahs and the Smith Rowes. And I think having brought, I suppose, circumstances now with Kivior that we've brought his value up, but that's because he's been able to play 15 games. So, not sure about the value thing, but certainly the injuries.
Steph?
The correct answer is it's a little bit of both. Absolutely, Arteta is culpable for some of these. Those hamstring injuries, don't just usually happen by accident. ACL injuries like Jesus's, that's a little bit more haphazard and can be a case of chance. You fall awkwardly or whatever, that can happen. But yeah, absolutely needed to rotate more, especially as the way when Eri came into the team and Lewis Skelly especially, there are players there that can be trusted more, certainly. The value tanking thing. The thing for that is I'm not educated enough on how other teams' business goes. I see all the big signings and I see all the big sales. And I do wonder if I looked a little bit more closely at other teams, the top, 5, 6, 7, 8 maybe, at all their ins and outs, you could maybe argue there's a little bit of all of those kind of sales that, they'll buy a big player that works. They'll buy a big player that doesn't. They'll sell for big money someone who you're quite surprised at, but they'll also sell someone for very little that you're also a little bit surprised at. I don't know. I simply don't know. To us, yeah. I just don't know.
I mean, Liverpool is selling, what's his name? Kwanzaa for 30 plus million.
Having given Leverkusen 100 million.
So we don't know what the back channels have been at play there, perhaps.
Balance in the books, isn't it?
At least we're not doing what Amorim's doing and publicly stay he's tanking. He is.
That's
if that question was about, he's proper
tanking.
tanking the value of the players. Anthony's. Fair play to Anthony. We don't like him, but he's gone to Betis and he's taken a pay cut and he's played really well and he's done well and he's willing to take a pay cut. I think 30% pay cut to get himself a sale. Unlike Garnacho.
Well,
and
Garnacho
Rashford.
are going to. Man United are going to end up paying someone to take him away, and it could end up being the police. If he sticks his finger up or abuses any more fans in the street. That is.
But did you see?
Unreal.
Did you see his latest picture he posted on Instagram?
Shirt.
Marcus Rashford in a Villa shirt. That's not a tooth. Got his brother or whoever it was to take the picture as he's walking towards his 2 supercars.
So funny.
The levels of wrong in that.
I quite like it. It's funny.
No.
Funny.
You like it because it's United and not us. But can you imagine having a player on your books that was doing that?
Yeah, I'd hate it.
That's toxic. That is
exactly. That's why.
And they're going to have to. And you've got Jadon Sancho. These players are going to be going on their pre-season tour in a couple of weeks.
What about their post-season tour? Did you see that?
I did. Yeah.
It's just so awkward. Oof.
And I'm trying to think now about players that we've bought that haven't worked out, and it's not quite the same thing. But Vieira, Lokonga, Tavares, where they were brought in. And it's not because they got opportunities, but they just weren't up to the mark.
Vieira's the odd one, isn't he?
Because he was
30? We paid so much money for him.
Yeah, he was quite expensive. The others were a bit less of a gamble. A
free hit almost. Yeah. You'll get your money back,
and young
kind of thing
as well.
Yeah, but Vieira was 30+ million, and we're not going to see that money.
No.
And you could, I suppose, with him, you could argue that his, Arteta's use or lack of use of him has tanked his value. You're certainly not going to get any money back on him. You might get half if you're lucky.
But then Liverpool are not going to get what they want for Darwin Núñez, and they spent a lot of money on him.
Yeah, like 70 million on him or something, wasn't it?
I don't know. Do every club have that? Chelsea and City are different because they're insulated with their ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah.
But yeah, us and Liverpool, Newcastle maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. Next question is from, and this took me a while to work out what the name was, Fuchsia Sky. But it was FUCH, and I was coming up with all sorts of X-rated.
You've been talking to that guy we met on Holloway Road.
Yeah. Fuchsia Sky has 2 questions. Thank you for those. How will Arteta utilise Ranieri next season? Question 1. Who's taking that?
I think he's going to end up being Saka's understudy when I would like him to be Odegaard's. But I think he'll be Saka's understudy again, used more on the wing.
And Arteta won't rotate Saka?
Nope.
Chris?
I'd like to see him in the Odegaard position,
Yeah.
and I would like to think that with the cup games that we'll have in the earlier Champions League, that maybe he'll rotate Odegaard with him.
Well, if he, it links with the previous question. If he doesn't, he's not learned his lesson. Like, he broke Saka. Didn't Saka play against Southampton the last game of the season?
Yes, he did.
Why?
Don't know.
Why? I know you said you don't know. You don't have that answer. It's
just a cry to the gods.
I'll just keep it. It will just be in a loop.
Echo. Yeah.
And do you think Mourinho will be in a starting 11 next season? That's Fuchsia Sky's second.
That's a flat no from me.
Well, you hope not.
Oh, you mean any starting 11?
No, I'm not sure. Do you think Mourinho is in the starting 11 next season? So again, I would say first few games.
For those games where we feel we can rotate.
I'm going to come at it a different way and say, a bit like with the signing a player and having to sell one, we also need to maybe move beyond, and we've mentioned this before, about, yes, of course, there might be a best 11 out there that we're sort of working towards, but really we should be looking for an incredibly good 15 or 16 players. Now, what that will mean is, over the course of the season, in terms of appearances, if no one's injured, I would like Mourinho to be in that 12th, 13th, maybe 14th position for starts, of course. But
he's added striker to that as well. Like, he can play up front or in midfield now. He's made himself more versatile, yeah.
He's pretty much always going to be coming off the bench, but will also be able to take, hopefully, minutes out of the legs of other players. So he's got to be used in that way. Yes, best 11, which I think is what's being hinted at with the question. No, I don't think so. Probably not. You've got some, if Zubimendi is confirmed, if ever that ever happens.
Behave yourself.
Then it's him, it's Zubimendi, Rice and Odegaard are your midfield 3, aren't they? So, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, Tabs has sent in 2 questions. Cheers, Tabs, our old mate from the Grove. First question is a bit of a departure from Arsenal, and I'm asking that one first because I like the second question more. The first question is do you watch any other sports during the summer? And if so, how into them are you? Who's taking that? Steph?
Yes, I do. Except I've just got rid of all my Sky Sports and BT Sports because it's becoming extortionate and untenable. And to be honest, I go to so many football games, which is my number one. In terms of club, it's all about Arsenal. Other games, other sports, I should say. Cricket. Well, it's weird, though, because with football, I'm all about the club game. It's all about the Premier League. It's all about the Champions League and Arsenal through and through. With other sports, cricket, rugby, I'm massively into as well. It's all about the international game. So I'll watch England cricket and pretty much in any format, although the Test format.
Are you watching the Test against India?
Well, I'm doing a lot of. It's all about the radio now, and I do actually love radio commentary anyway. So it's Test match special. Test match special. The rugby coverage. I listen to a rugby podcast done by the BBC with Arsenal fan Hugo Monnier on there. If he wants to come on to North Bank Meets and he's listening to this, hit me up on Instagram. And so the England rugby, absolutely right. The Lions tour is about to start against Australia, which I'll be massively into and watching. So yeah, in terms of the international sport, those two, and boxing. Boxing's probably my second sport overall. I'll always watch a bit of that.
And you'll keep that going through the season as well if there's any bouts?
Yeah, generally. And I always do tend to look, if there's one that comes up in like an international break, might even try and get tickets for as well.
Chris?
God, I'm by comparison, sorry. I've just, I don't know if it's because of my culture, but brought up, No, and what I mean is, from a Cypriot family, cricket and rugby were just not on the agenda, at all.
I went to a grammar school.
Never.
That's all it was.
Not even. No. What do you want to bother with? That's so sort of. What's the word? Like colonial.
Yes.
That kind of idea of it being. So no, tennis is the only other thing that I play and watch. So yeah, be looking forward to.
And do you
Wimbledon.
watch are you watching Wimbledon?
I will be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Can you
one
name
of those.
any players?
Alcaraz is my favourite.
He's great. Famously pictured in an Arsenal shirt, Alcaraz.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, he's my favourite now. Then
lightning bolt from the mid-90s.
Since the likes of Stef and Edberg, I've stopped watching.
God.
Wow.
That dates me.
Ilya Nastasi. Yeah.
Not quite.
I am also one of
Fred
those.
Perry.
Sorry. I love a Fred Perry. I am also one of those people that will just watch Wimbledon because it's on. Right. So, the tennis is like non-existent the rest of the year, but if Wimbledon's on, yeah, absolutely. Great coverage on the BBC.
It's a true gladiatorial sport, obviously boxing is as well, but for me, tennis
Wimbledon just is too white middle class for England for me.
No, I think I'd hate that for that. But I like it. Just the nature of tennis itself. All the pomp and ceremony around it, I care less about that. Football's getting like that, sadly. But
I do like Andy Murray, though. I did like Andy Murray.
And if you don't like Nick Kyrgios, then
I do.
Are you doing?
Because it's like snooker, like the characters are gone, that kind of thing.
Well,
I like to hate Nick Kyrgios, but that's the point, isn't it?
Yeah.
So my sports, I love all sport really. I'll watch. I'm not boxing, but I'll watch the rugby. I'll watch the cricket, the Ashes. Obviously, I won't watch India cricket not really. But the Ashes is my thing with the cricket. But no, my summer sport is the Tour de France. I love the Tour de France, and I will have it on every day, and I'll download. I'll subscribe to TNT for the month or whatever it's on. And just have it on in the background.
How does that work as a spectator sport? I've always wondered with things
the
like
commentators
that.
The commentators are brilliant. I love France as well, and the scenery, the route. It's just spectacular. It's
as much about the kind of the coverage as it is, right?
Yes.
So
look, don't get me wrong. I mean, some of the tour stages are, pretty bland. I'm not into the sprints because that's pretty much all the action. It's like a basketball game. You just watch the basketball game for the last 30 seconds to see who wins. Watch the sprint stages in the Tour de France just for the last minute, 2 minutes. There's the build up to the sprint. I love the mountain stages and so on. But what I'll do is I'll pick an English cyclist and I'll research them. I'll make sure they're find the Arsenal one, like what's his name, Geraint Thomas, and
that's Dad.
Yeah, and I'll get into it. I'll proper get into it. But it's a form of escapism for me as well.
That's what sport is.
Yeah,
it's the beauty of it,
and it's nice for the month. And it starts, I think, June 26th. Oh gosh, this weekend.
Hey.
So that's the Tour de France for me, which has been like that for about 10, 15 years. And they're supreme athletes, obviously clean now. As they are.
We hope.
Says. Yeah. And Tabs' the final question from Tabs, from anyone, is, and So I did pitch this to you guys earlier so you could give it a bit of thought. As we are now on the 25th of June, the rumours, the deals that have been done, the rumours, the things that you would like realistically to happen, predict the opening game starting 11.
Yep.
Okay, who's up first?
I'll go first.
Go on, Chris. Starting 11.
Because I don't think it's going to be hugely different regarding in terms of the signings we make. I don't think that's going to make a huge difference. So away at United, it's going to be Raya in goal, Timber right back, Saliba, Gabriel, MLS. Midfield of Rice, Zubi, I suspect. Although it wouldn't surprise me if now Norgaard, but no, Zubimendi and Erdegaard with Martinelli, Havertz and Saka. That's the starting 11.
How are you feeling about that starting 11?
Good. Yeah.
Okay.
Every reason to be,
Steph?
I've got exactly the same team, bar one change. So Raya in goal. I've gone with White, Saliba, Gabriel, Timber. I've got, or have I made two changes? Can't remember.
Two changes. Well, you put Timber up left back.
Left back. Yep. Midfield 3: Odegaard, Rice, Marino, and then front 3: Saka, Havertz.
So Rice at 6.
Martinelli. Yep.
Why are you not starting Zubimendi?
Because A, he's not an Arsenal player yet.
But he will be. That's the whole point
B,
of the question.
Just think.
Sorry, Tabs.
Arteta might go a little bit galaxy brain, and away at Old Trafford, he'll go with players who have already played in the league, and he'll save Zubimendi for home at Leeds.
There's no point buying someone like Zubimendi if you don't start him at Old Trafford.
We haven't bought him yet, have we?
He's a Spanish international.
So there's a lot of caveats. I guess if he gets a pre-season, I've every confidence that he'll be up to it, and that is the if. If it, like a Rodrigo comes in at the last hour, you're obviously not going to chuck him in against United away. But I would imagine if they all get a good pre-season, there's no reason why he couldn't. But it is an if.
So the United game is 2 weeks before the close of the transfer window. So I've not got Rodrigo anywhere near the team. I've not actually got a left winger because I think that decision is going to be after the first game of the season. So but my team, I've got White starting at right back simply because Timber's, I don't know about what his fitness is like. He's had an operation, so I don't know whether he's actually going to get a pre-season in. I don't know. And if Ben White, who has recovered fully and is fully fit and gets a pre-season under his belt, I think Ben White should get the nod. There's no reason or need to rush Timber if Ben White is available, and he was brilliant the season before. Saliba, Gabriel, and we're assuming Gabriel's going to be fit and available, but yeah. And Lewis Skelly at left back. My midfield 3: Zubimendi, Rice, and Erdegaard. I've got Saka on the left. I've got Saka on the right. I did that right. And I've got Martinelli on the left, and I've got Gyökeres through the middle.
Oh,
I don't think it was starting.
We said Sesko not long ago.
Yeah, it's Clive.
My son
telling me about his son. I want the player that wants us, Dad. Yeah. Okay. That swung me over because it was more of a Brexit kind of percentage. It was 52-48 Sesko to Gyökeres. I was leaning towards Sesko, but if it's true that Sesko is looking to insert a sell-on clause, then it's Gyökeres. That will sway it for me. I think both will score goals. And I think Gyökeres has something. He'll have stuff to prove. Like, he's a beast, and this is his big shot. And how would I feel about seeing Gyökeres turn out for United or Liverpool or Chelsea? I don't know. I don't want Sesko either. I want someone to come in from abroad. I want the only one of those two to play in the Premier League next season is playing in our colours. I don't want to see them in any other colours, because then you'd be looking at what they're doing, not what our players doing. Envy. Right, we're done. I'm out of questions. Anything else I've missed, guys, that you've picked up in the last week, few days?
England under-21s have made the Euro under-21s final. Ranieri has been featuring in and out of the team. Harvey Elliott, Liverpool's Harvey Elliott, scored twice in the semi-final to put them in the final, so he's obviously getting a lot of plaudits.
His second goal was a bit special, I believe.
I've seen it. Was it good?
I haven't seen it, no.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, and they'll play Germany.
I would just add as well that we are losing Carlos Cuesta, so it'll be interesting to see whether he promotes from within or goes for a kind of grizzled older, assistant to come in.
Or another young...
Or another 12-year-old.
Yeah, another 12-year-old.
Yeah.
29.
You play him on the right and you move there and... you can just see it, can't you?
Can you hurry up, please? I've got homework to do.
It's 8 o'clock. It's late.
Yeah, 29.
29, managing a Serie A club. Well done. Fair play.
I mean, he must have deliberated because because he's so young. I mean, he'll be managing players who are older than him and not having played. That's tough. Yeah, it could be a tough...
Oh, it will be tough. And, the Italian press, are just as vociferous as the British press can be in terms of how they sort of talk about it. But Serie A famously quite ruthless with managers. They'll go through them on the merry-go-round. So, yeah, the stuff in the Amazon documentary is what I always remember about Cuesta. He did a lot of one-to-one, almost
players,
on the psychology stuff.
Yeah.
It was about getting...
Soft factors.
All those soft factors, yes. Spoke lots of languages. Clearly an intelligent guy, I'm sure a great coach as well. But I think it's underestimated. Look, you've got hyper-tacticians like Arteta, like Guardiola, like Klopp obviously was as well. And then you have those, what we used to term as sort of man managers. And I think the nature of the players, that whole brutalising a squad in pre-season like George Graham used to put them through, you wouldn't. It's a different world we live in now. So I think, in terms of those soft factors, that could set him up for a good career. Who knows? Good luck to him.
Well, good luck to him. We'll have him back if they churn him out, and
we'll share.
Well, from our point of view, it's just be interesting to see who comes in, and how they fit in. Are we going to go for someone else who's an expert in that kind of field? That soft factor guy, and we'll wait and see.
And that would be incumbent on the club. They don't have to rush that one. It's a coach. It won't hinge on anything. It's not like the sporting director, which obviously needed.
The players will miss him.
Yes, massively.
And that's a consideration, a factor as well.
Someone it might have been Arseblog actually that I was listening to, maybe even Handbrake Off, one of the other brilliant Arsenal podcasts, were talking about how we've got a team that have finished second 3 years in a row, and it might just do them good to hear something a bit different. Maybe, you never know. That could be a different factor. Not that anything was being done wrong before. But, yeah. Obviously, it can go the other way. Yeah, we're open to that, but you never know. Maybe a fresh set of eyes will.
Someone coming in wearing a wedding dress saying, "This is what it looks like to finish first." Freaking bridesmaids.
That'll work.
Sure. Right. Okay. We're out. We're done. Look out, as I said, for Arsenal meet, North Bank meets, even Arsenal meets. Yeah, we can do that. North Bank meets. We've got quite a few of those coming up. I'm sure we'll get together again as a trio and discuss
on the Holloway Road, maybe.
On the Holloway Road. I think we'll have to go somewhere different, just in case.
Bluetooth man finds us.
Yeah. Did he surreptitiously drop something like a little tagging device onto Steph or something? He'll turn up. There'll be a knock on your door, Steph, in Norfolk.
The briefcase.
Right. Anyway, thanks for the chat. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Have a good few days wherever you are, and we'll catch you next time. Cheerio. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.
The North Bank, an Arsenal podcast. Subscribe, rate and review on your app, and find us on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok at North Bank Pod. Email hello@thenorthbankafc.com and check out our website, thenorthbankafc.com. Produced by The Podcast Company.